the year was 1990, but she must have died many decades prior. I'm talking about a twisted tale that has now been passed down through 3 generations of children in my family. In my childhood, this story startled me to death, for reasons that I'll explain shortly. The story is an experience that my uncle had as a teenager. In the middle of my small hometown, there stands a wooded, secluded hillside, once topped with 2 ominous homes, a log cabin and a cottage comprised of concrete. My grandparents, that hardworking couple, bought the property in the late 1980s and moved the family into the log cabin while the other home remained vacant. My parents were living in Texas at the time, and one of my 2 uncles lived in Georgia. The other uncle, then 18 years old, lived at home with my grandparents. It was winter, and my uncle was sleeping on the living room couch near the front of the house, which had views of the makeshift driveway shared between the 2 houses. He awoke on that dreadful morning and looked outside. What he saw shook him to his core. Standing in 6 inches of snow, she was someone he had never met. She wasn't one of the kids from the neighborhood at the bottom of the hill. No, she was far from it. Wearing a Victorian-era dress, the little girl was clearly out of place, and she stared directly at him as he peeped out the window, as if she had been waiting for him to wake up. No expression, no emotion, a blank stare right into his soul. My grandmother had already gone to work, despite the heavy snowfall, and my grandfather was asleep in their bedroom. My uncle, confused and creeped out, went back to his father to let him know about their guest, and he was instructed to go out and ask her if she needed help. My uncle walked back to the front of the house and put on his snow boots, exiting the side door and losing sight of the girl. When he arrived at the driveway, she was gone. He looked around for her, but wasn't able to find her. Though he did find a series of footprints leading directly to the front door of the vacant house. He followed the footsteps to the front door of that house and looked inside, but found nothing, except for cobwebs and shadows. Bewildered, and bracing himself for the worst, my uncle returned to his family's house and went back to bed, eventually forgetting about the girl as days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into years. My parents, having returned from my father's military service, moved into the concrete cottage shortly after. That's the house that I was brought home to from the hospital, and ever since my childhood, I knew that something was strange about the house in Hillside. A product of homeschooling, my wacky sleep schedule often kept me up into the wee hours of the night, and every night I felt cold chills while I sat on the computer that sat directly in front of the front door that the little girl allegedly entered. Other strange things happened. Some examples include my mother hearing the laughter of children while my brothers and I were absent, my mother seeing a half-human, half-dog creature in the backyard, and me capturing an apparition resembling a young girl in a photo I took of the front door. I saw many shadow figures as a child, and so did my brothers. Rumors had always circulated about various possible explanations of these paranormal encounters. My uncle often told of a plane crash that happened on the back of the hillside, though my research never led me to any solid evidence. Others told of ancient Native American burial grounds, along with possible satanic rituals happening on the hill that was once a park. In all my years of life, I've never found any possible explanation for what happened on that hill. The decaying walls of the homes held many secrets, but their whispers never revealed the truth to me. We eventually moved out of the house and to the other side of town, and so did my grandparents. They retained ownership of the property, and the family as a whole let nature take back the homes. We would visit occasionally, and for a few years the vines and ivy grew rapidly to cover the houses. Mysteriously, both houses burned down within the span of a couple of weeks. We're not sure if there was arson involved or if the fires were the result of some drug-producing squatters. The remnants of the homes still remain, and last year my family organized a picnic at the top of the hill. I was happy to see what was left of my childhood home. But I couldn't shake the eerie feeling that I was being watched for the entire time I was there. makes me wonder if it was the little ghost girl spirit watching, or something far more sinister. For a short time, she and I were connected, but I never found out who she was, or what her purpose there was. I doubt that I ever will, but I know her presence remains, forever trapped in an enclave of forgotten memories and unanswered questions.